What's up, everybody? This is episode number 2 of Fourth and One, a sports podcast. Fourth and One is presented to you by Why Am I a Nerd Podcast Network, where everyone is a nerd about something.
Goddamn right.
My name is Sean Farrell, and sitting opposite of me is the golden voice of podcasting, Matt Ferrer. What's going on?
Not too much, man. Pumped for our topics today. It's our Kobe Bryant episode.
Long overdue.
Yeah, man.
Long overdue. I needed to talk to a therapist after that.
That was a crazy day.
Yeah.
All things considered, I was not expecting to see that at all. I thought it was fake for the longest because I couldn't see anything to back him. I was like, holy shit, nuts.
It's one of those things where you if someone asked you where you were when you found out.
Yeah.
It's one of those events where you can remember exactly where you were.
It was so stunning because so few, I think we brought this up previously, so few NBA MVPs have actually passed away, which is a phenomenal stat. I don't know what that says to the longevity of players in the sport, but that's insane.
Yeah, I think
to me.
Last week we had Cam the stat man.
Yeah.
This week we have the Italian. He's behind the keyboard over there looking everything up for us.
Yeah, shout out to our man Ant Valenti back there.
But first, let's talk about some news, I guess, that came up this week. I want to talk about the MLS coming back. I don't necessarily need to go over the details of everything, but they're coming back with a tournament-style playoff. So they're going to use groups like they do in the World Cup and other major tournaments to advance into a bracket style. Do you think this is going to be good for the MLS as far as not having a season and just going into a tournament? I guess the Premier League and other European leagues, they're taking most of the attention, and no one's paying attention to MLS here.
Right. Nobody's really following. Football over there compared to soccer here, it's a very big difference. I do, however, think this could be huge for the sport. I think this has, massive implications. Just because, if for no other reason, there's nothing else to watch right now. And especially tournament styles so much more exciting because anyone can get eliminated at any time. It doesn't matter how good of a team you are. You have that one bad game. You let up that one goal could completely change your fate. It's the same reason people love March Madness. So I think if they do it, they've really got a prime chance to capitalize on gaining a new audience. Just because there are so many people who are so desperate for something to watch. To add on to that, I was talking to one of my buddies earlier today because, the bars are finally starting to reopen. You can do outdoor dining. And he responds in our group chat, he goes, listen, no offense to you guys. I don't want to just hang out and talk to you. I need something to watch.
Right.
You know what? With soccer coming back, that's something. If you weren't into it before, you might be now. It's a really good chance for them to get some exposure and move up to compete with the Big Four.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the MLS season is tough in general because it goes through the whole summer. So into the fall, so you're competing with every major sport.
Yeah.
And and like I said, the European football right now is premier because you can get it on every sports station. You can watch that over the MLS.
Yeah.
And the players are just that much better that it's a better game to watch.
Oh yeah.
So I agree. The tournament, I think, is a great thing for them. And I might be invested. I could pick a team right off the bat. I'm sure there's going to be betting pools and stuff like that we can jump on.
And it's just fun to have a brand new team sometimes. I've got no ties to anything here. I can go in totally clean. I can just pick from my favorite player. It's like being a little kid, but with the knowledge that you're stuck with that team for the rest of your life,
Yeah. Are you declaring your allegiance to any team right now?
Not yet. I don't have enough knowledge. I don't know enough of the players, but I think, if this tournament picks up, I would hope there's a team that really catches my attention, that I can ride with.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you're going to go with Orlando. Because you have the Magic. They have a great following.
The Magic, yeah. but I'm a Magic fan because of Shaq, who we're going to bring up a
little
bit later on here.
Maybe they have a comparable player. I don't know.
They could. You know what I mean? There's just that one guy you're just like, this is my favorite player, which, thank God for me, one of my favorite football players, possibly my favorite football player of all time, no offense to Eli Manning, who is probably 1A, 1B with this guy, is Calvin Johnson. And I thank God every day that I was already a Giants fan because I'd be miserable as a Lions fan for the rest of my life, especially after he retired.
I mean, look, you picked the right team with the Giants. I don't want to. No, let's not bring the Lions into this.
Yeah,
I don't need.
No disrespect to Detroit. I spent a lot of time in Michigan.
Speaking of the Giants, Did you see they changed their end zone?
I am so it's so weird that as a Giants fan we get excited about things like this because there's such a run of the mill, we do everything by the book, we're not going to change anything team. Now I personally was hoping we were going to change the uniforms. I'd love to see them go fully retro with the 80s style uniforms, especially if we have the color rush. I would love that. I've been doing that whenever I play Madden, play with the strictly 80s uniforms. It looks amazing. Saquon Barkley looks phenomenal. Like, it needs to be a thing. But having the end zones change is honestly just a sign that the Giants are finally ready to evolve. For the first time, we've got a new head coach who has no ties to the organization. He didn't used to work here, and now he's back because the Maras feel comfortable with him. He's totally new. I'm expecting him to bring some fresh, outside the box thought processes in. I think it's just a nice little. It's a subtle but needed fresh breath of air for the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I remember when they changed the jerseys to their current ones, and when it happened, I was ecstatic.
Yeah.
And sorry, Ant, Cowboys fan over there, the Italian.
We didn't need to bring it up.
I'm sorry. All right, I appreciate that. Respect. But I remember when they switched the jerseys over the first time, and it was awesome. Yeah. But as the years have gone on, there's something about the Giants on the helmet that you really like. And you said they do the color rush. That's my favorite jersey of the year.
Oh yeah, hands down. It's just I just hate wearing it if I'm not at the game because I'm like, I'm gonna spill wing sauce on this. Something's gonna happen. I'm gonna get excited. A beer is gonna spill. I'm not gonna forgive my friend. You know, you never know what's gonna happen with an all white jersey.
What do you think they should ever bring the red jersey back?
I actually have one red jersey remaining. I actually saw a Saquon one online. I might get that too. I like the red. I think it's a nice little alternate sometimes, but let's be honest, the team's nicknamed Big Blue for a reason. We can't always go with red, but I do think it's nice to mix it up, sprinkle it in there, just show teams that we have other, jerseys every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, I think like you said, the Giants are evolving and they're a very traditional team with traditional ownership, and it's something you don't expect. It's like, it's like a Michigan or a Notre Dame where their jerseys are, pretty much the same. They're not the Oregon.
Yeah.
They're not the Oregon.
Where it's just they need that flash to get people to pay attention to.
But the Giants don't need that.
Exactly.
They're a classy organization.
But at the same time, just every now and then, just throw some red into that blue, like on the sleeve or something. Just a little, just a little something here and there.
Yeah, no, I think the once a year is like a good, or a couple times a year is a good.
Or even if we got a different color rush every year, I'd be totally fine with that because honestly, I need a new reason to spend money on jerseys.
I mean, some of the color rushes are
some of them
not
are a little
that
rough,
great.
But like, I think there's enough creativity out there. If you look, there's all those different sports websites. Bleacher Report, I think, does one of these a month where it's like, look at this alternate version of a helmet. They could do. Yeah.
I mean, I think the worst jersey rated this year for color rush was the Titans.
Fuck fuck your goddamn team, you stupid ass Giants fans. Fuck out, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I heard Batman sucks too. While we're pissing Cam off back there.
Tune into Yo, What Up Comics to hear that.
Yeah, right.
Let's move on to baseball. So there's been a proposal made by the Players Union. Essentially, to break it down without going over exact numbers, is the owners want less games and they want less pay per game. The players want more games and they want 100% of their pay for the games. Prorated, so they're not getting their full salaries, but they're still making what they should make. Your prediction was July 4th.
Yeah.
At this point,
still holding to that.
At this point, I don't think that's going to happen.
I'm going to hold to it. I'm hoping at this point because it's not looking good. But I do think it's kind of funny to cut you off. You were about to say something.
No, I was just going to say it's at this point it's every day, every hour matters because like it's like a ticking time bomb.
They got to get moving.
They got to get moving. What were you going to say?
No, I was saying I do think it's kind of funny that the players want more games and the owners want less games. Yeah. That's something you almost never see happen with sports. Usually the owners want to drag more. Look at what happened with football, where it's every year it kind of comes up like, do we add more games? Do we add more games? And the players want to do less and less, which for good reason. They're getting their asses kicked out there.
Right.
But it's kind of funny to see that for baseball, which traditionally has a crazy long season, that the players want to play even more. Granted, I know it's in relation to normal. I'm just saying.
Yeah, and I think a big thing of that is it's all comes down to money at the end of the day, and we're not going to have fans in stadiums, so the owners, of course, they don't want to pay the players more money because of course they want less games because there's going to be operation costs and expenses that they're going to have to pay out, and they're not getting that ticket profit back in.
But they are billionaires at the end of the day.
Right.
You know, like you guys can take
good problem
this
to
hit.
have.
Yeah. You know, it's like I almost want to say, and granted, far be it from me because I don't know the ins and outs, the intricacies of what happens here, but I almost want to say, like, hey, just suck it up and do it. Like, there's people who are completely out of jobs, you know, have nothing going on for them, just sitting at home waiting for this to end so they can go back to work. People have lost businesses that they've started. You know, some people aren't as lucky as everyone else, and baseball would be a nice relief for them. Part of me really wants to say, just figure it out, get somebody on the field, get something going so that, you know, the country has something to kind of rally behind and root for.
Yeah, I mean, I'm rocking the Garrett Cole jersey T-shirt tonight. You know, I want to see the guy throw a pitch at some point. You know, and I don't want it to be a season where it's so short. He's making 8 starts, and you know, there's talk that players don't want to come back for a shortened season because they're not going to have the time to prepare if they haven't been properly preparing now, and they don't want to get hurt for the whole next season if they're only going to play, you know, X amount of games. However, as a Yankees fan, it's a love-hate thing with this whole entire quarantine delayed season because as a Yankees fan, Judge was hurt, Stanton was hurt, Paxton was hurt. We were going in this season limping. I mean, and they have a solid squad. But you know, we weren't going to have our big guys ready to go.
And now you can kind of come out gunning.
We can come out fresh. But the reason I really don't like it is because the Houston Trastros, they were going to get slammed this season.
Oh, yeah.
They were going to get
and they deserved
destroyed.
Every single second of what they were going to get. I hope it carries into next time. 100%. Like, that's such a...
And as time goes on, as sports fans, you tend to forget, you know, the last season.
I don't think the players would, though, because it's like you said, the Yankees had a good shot to win had it not been for that. And the thing that blows my mind is that if you're an athlete at this level, you're a professional athlete, the highest level, you've probably dreamed of this since being a kid. How does someone get an entire organization in? Because someone had this idea to cheating. How do you get a whole locker room full of guys to be like, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get a title out of it. And nobody's like, this is bullshit. Like, I can't be part of it. Like, nobody just had that, you know...
I mean, no one during it was saying anything, I'll tell you that much. Because, you know, as a Yankees fan in 2017, I mean, we went 7 games with them, and the home team won every game. And when they were obviously when they were at home, they won those 4 games. And, you know, Yankees weren't putting up a ton of runs, but still, when you compromise the game in some kind of cheating like that, it
takes away from the value of it for everyone. Like, because imagine being like a little kid. And, you know, you're an Astros fan, and you find out your team cheated. Like, that's kind of devastating. I mean, you're like 10 years old. Like, you know, you're going to get a little jaded from that.
I mean, they're not teaching good lessons to the youth. We need good role models out there, and the Astros just aren't the answer. Before we get into the Kobe talk, let's get a word from our sponsor. This episode of 4th and 1 has been brought to you by our sponsor, Me Moms, the best breakfast and lunch down the Jersey Shore, with 3 great locations in Wall Township, Middletown, and Brick, New Jersey. Me Mom specializes in unique and fun takes on your traditional lunch and breakfast items. Open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. You can find more information at www.memoms.com. All right, Matt, it's time to talk about Kobe Bryant.
One of the greatest players of all time.
One of the greatest players of all time. You know, it's one of those things when someone passes away that you start remembering like good memories of them. And I think I mentioned this in the last podcast, you know, until that happened, like this was the first person for me that I didn't know personally, I wasn't related to, that actually like affected me.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I'm trying to like make light of it. Like, why is this bothering so much? And then it puts you back and brings back all these memories of why Kobe Bryant was like that guy for me. I know you were a Shaq guy growing up.
Yeah, God forbid if something happened to Shaq, I'd be devastated. Which I know he actually took this very hard.
Yeah.
Because he had, I think he had a family member pass away very recently prior to Kobe passing. And then Kobe passing, even though, you know, they obviously had their beef, like, you know, they won titles together. Like, I'm sure they had some level of friendship.
Yeah, they went through a war together to win those. I mean,
basically.
Yeah, maybe they didn't see eye to eye at the time, but like you said, Shaq.
Well, Shaq's 7'2".
But you know, like it shows you what kind of, you know, what being teammates is like really all about, how it actually affected him. So you were the Shaq guy. When Shaq went to the Lakers, did you stick with Shaq, or as far as following?
Yeah,
him
as far as
player?
following, I forget how old I was at the time, but I was definitely a Lakers fan for a little bit, just because, like I said, Shaq was my guy. But man, were they something else? Like that combination, the two of them, like, and obviously, like, I'm very partial to Shaq and Penny, but like, I've got to give it to Shaq and Kobe as a combo over them. And like, I remember, just to give a brief throwback, when I was younger, my grandmother passed away when I was like 12 or 13. But I remember very vividly being at her place on Sundays, when I was a kid, and basketball was always on. My cousin always had it on, so me, my dad, my uncles, whoever was over, my sister, we'd all be watching basketball. And I remember watching Kobe for the first time, and I was like, "Damn, this guy's good!" Like, I remember being a kid and be like, "This is nuts to me," It was crazy. And it's funny, like you said, all those things come flooding back.
Yeah.
Like stuff I hadn't thought about in years. But I remember watching him as a kid, like back when he had that little mini fro and everything.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, he really went through a transformation throughout his career.
Oh, yeah.
Which, for me, like, when I got into being a Kobe Bryant fan, I mean, 1996, I was like 7 or 8 years old. Me and my dad used to collect sports cards. And just for whatever reason, that year we started, we would collect. I was a basketball guy, like, loved basketball. That was my sport. And we would collect mainly basketball cards and rookie cards of other sports. And, I built this attachment to Kobe Bryant for whatever reason. And
Yeah,
it wasn't even, I wasn't even
yeah.
watching him play, because at the time, like, I had to be at bed at like 8 o'clock. Kobe was
Yeah,
playing
you
at
can't
10:30. Like, it was just something about him as an athlete and a person at the time that, like, I really connected with him. And like I said, I was playing basketball and I was out there, like, pretending to be Kobe Bryant. And I think it affected me because Kobe Bryant, for a lot of people my age and your age too, where he was like the Michael Jordan for those kids.
yeah, he was that next generation.
Yeah, and when I jumped on 1996, like, he was a rookie. He wasn't anything yet. And I kind of, like, grew with him as a player. Like, I didn't pick him after his 3rd championship. Like,
Yeah,
I didn't jump onto
I didn't
jump onto the Lakers teams. I kind of watched him develop as a player.
And you were just, infatuated.
And I was just in it.
That
I was just
Mamba
in it to win
mentality.
it.
I was gonna say, it's funny you bring that up. That you weren't with him. You watched him grow. But like, his first couple of years. Obviously no one was like that crazy. It's nuts to me that he dropped to 13th overall. Where this is one of those things where if you go back and you could redo the draft, I feel like he has to go number 1. But do you remember who the number 1 pick was in that draft? Which made it interesting when I looked it up.
I don't. I think if you know it, say it. I don't know. I should have
Well,
looked
funny
this up.
enough, the answer is the answer. It was Allen Iverson
Okay.
went first overall, which I thought was funny because he went first overall to Philly. And I think, you can't really question Iverson's legacy on the game. Kobe's, such a phenomenal and transcendent player that I wonder what would have happened if he had been drafted by his home city. I wonder if that would have made him even bigger, more of a legend, for Philadelphia as a whole, as opposed to LA.
I remember when he went back for the All-Star game in Philadelphia, and they just booed the shit out of him.
And I'm like, I
hated him.
never really understood that.
And that was part of, like, Kobe's transformation. Like, he was that guy early in his career that people loved to hate.
Yeah.
If you didn't love him, you loved to hate him. And it was because of his attitude, the stories you heard about him. And, like, he was just a guy that wanted to win so bad that he always put himself first.
Yep.
And people kind
The
of just
Mamba
despised that and
mentality,
hated that about him. But at the same time, he was such a competitor. And, this is only what, like, media is saying or you hear after the fact.
Right.
But he's such a competitor. When he passed away, like, the outpouring of people that were affected by this, like, people that don't even watch basketball, because you could see how he grew as a person and even a player and as an entrepreneur and as a dad and everything, where he affected multiple different facets of
people are
all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, generations of people, like, our kids after us, they're still going to be shouting Kobe if they shoot something.
Did you do that? Were you a big, like, shoot it into the garbage can? Kobe?
That was a big thing at my office a few years ago. This company I used to work at, Single Throw. Whenever we'd throw something out, it was Kobe, and then we had a basketball hoop in the office for a little bit.
What was your shooting percentage on that? I mean,
it was on par with Shaq's, which is another reason I'm a big fan.
Free throws or down low?
Free throws.
Kobe wasn't even in the top 10.
No, free throws?
Number 13, Charlotte Hornets.
Yeah.
I mean, let's go back to that. So Charlotte trades him for I believe it was Vlade Divac.
Yep.
the Italian. Is that correct?
And there was a chance they were nervous about that too, because they went back and they talked to a few teams out of drafting him. I know the Nets got talked out of drafting him, and the Hornets were worried that the trade was going to fall through because how do you say his name again? I'm going to mess it up. Divac? Yeah. There was a chance that he was going to retire. And that changed once he visited Charlotte. He was like, "Oh, I can see myself playing here." So I mean, it could have never happened. He could have stayed in Charlotte. He could have gone to the Nets. He could have gone to a host of other teams.
The Knicks at the time. I mean, they were the problem with the Knicks in the '90s is that I think they missed the playoffs one time. So yeah, it was just never a dream for me. I know there was always rumors of Kobe leaving. The closest I think he got was to like going to Chicago, to follow in Michael's footsteps because. I know we talked about it last week, but I know you didn't watch The Last Dance, but Kobe's featured in one of the episodes, and they talk about their relationship, and he was like him and Michael Jordan, based on the eulogy that Michael Jordan gave, on top of like all the information that's come out after the fact, is they were really close, like they had a close relationship, and there's videos out there that people have put together of Kobe's moves matched up with Jordan, where Jordan starts a move. And then they flip to Kobe, and it looks like it's the same person.
That's kind of all right. I might have to go back and
you're gonna have to delve in. But
I really am.
He really emulated Michael Jordan, and that was his guy. And then, like I said before, there were kids coming up where players in the league today, Kobe was their guy. They grew up watching, which is crazy because he passed away at 41 years old, but he spent 20 years in the league. Yeah. And I mean, let's go over some of his career stuff, which. It's pretty impressive. 20 NBA seasons, 18-time All-Star.
Which is insane.
Yeah. 15-time All-NBA, 12-time All-Defense, which doesn't really get talked about as defensive game.
Everyone's all about offense. People love to sleep on, defenses as a whole when it comes to basketball.
2-time scoring champion. He was only the NBA MVP one time in 07-08, which... There's a couple seasons where if you go back and see who won, people, especially Kobe stan like myself, say he was robbed. 4-time All-Star MVP, 2-time Finals MVP, 5-time NBA champion, and he was, getting inducted into the NBA
there was
Hall of Fame.
No question he was going into the Hall of Fame. Anyone who's fighting that, go to hell.
He scored 40 points in a game 135 times. Only behind Michael Jordan,
Wilt Chamberlain. That's crazy to think about. You scored 40 points 135 times.
He had a stretch at one point where I believe Shaq was hurt. And he talks about this in an interview he does where he scored 40 points in a stretch of, I believe it was like 10 to 11 to 12 games. And he was just going off. And Shaq comes back. And Phil Jackson says, "Hey, you got to get this guy. You got to get him his confidence boosted up." So Kobe got up to like 38 points. Phil says that to him, and he starts dishing the ball to Shaq. He gave up the streak he had going just to get his teammate back in. But at the time, you don't see that. You don't hear these stories. And I think people didn't appreciate Kobe Bryant when he was with us, when he was a player. Just that competition level that he could do really anything he wanted to on the court. Yeah. I mean, he was...
Oh, it was great.
He was great. Scores 50 points in a game 26 times. Scores 60 points in a game 6 times, which... he scored 60 in his career finale, which broke the tie with Michael Jordan. Put him in second place.
That final game, I was not... I don't know why I wasn't expecting it. I was not expecting him to put up that many points. I should have been.
Yeah, look, I ruptured my Achilles, which is another connection I have with Kobe. That's something I always
bond,
I thought about that immediately. Kobe Bryant did this too.
Pretty sure that's the first thing you said when he tore.
Kobe
did this.
Yeah, I think I did. I was like, Kobe. But yeah, that game, his body just, he's 40 years old. His body's just not the same. It happens. I'm 31 and I was in way better shape 2 years ago. Now that might be my own fault, but still, and to put up 60 points in your final game with all the pressure on you, everyone knows it's your final game.
Yeah, everyone knows you're going for it. I mean, I do think there's something to be said that, there's some kind of respect from the other team where they're not, they might not have gone full force. I don't want to take anything away from Kobe because I think even if they were, he still would have scored 60. I mean, he might have put up 70 out of principle.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's crazy to me that his mentality and his drive and his just strength of will was just that much. Like he was a force. You know, when he wanted to do something to take over a game, he was going to do it.
Yeah, and as a Knicks fan, I watch that happen every year. One of his memorable games that he had versus the Knicks, I believe he scored 61 points, and for him, like, he wasn't the highest percentage shooter. You know, he would shoot a lot of shots, which is, you know, a bash on him from a lot of people. But, you know, if you don't take shots, you can't make shots.
Exactly.
But he would just torch the Knicks every year. And it was like, he played in Madison Square Garden. It was on.
So
like,
sold out. Yeah.
He was going for it. But yeah, that last game, I watched it actually recently because obviously there's nothing to watch. And I believe they put it on like ABC primetime television.
Sure. Like it's because the Knicks, no matter what, they still play in. I'll say it, the greatest city on the planet. You know what I mean? So it's like if there's a game at the Garden, it's always going to be a big deal.
You're allowed to say that.
Especially when you got a star coming in.
I mean, you know, you're Mets, Giants. I mean,
you
have a lot of allegiances. The 81-point game. It's just, you know, it's
it's unfathomable almost. Like that's a video game number.
Yeah, I mean, I played like if I played against my son when I get home, like I don't think I could score 81 points against him, and he's 7 years old. Like we could play like a 48-minute game. Like I don't know if I could pull that off, and this guy's doing it against NBA professional
like
players.
Professionals, like guys who are trained every day for this, peak athletes. It's crazy.
What about Magic games? I mean, you're a Magic fan.
I am.
The only Magic thing I remember is the dunk on Dwight. I mean, jumps over him. It was a poster. I think I had the poster in my room.
Poster. And it was like, that's one of those things that you've got to know. He was itching to do that the whole time. Because that was back when I loved Dwight Howard. Dwight for a while was just like a force, and then he's taking a downturn, which is unfortunate. I didn't like his exit with the team, but that's a whole nother story. It looked kind of a bad taste. But Kobe, kind of a not like that's embarrassing.
Yeah, I mean,
Howard's like what?
It was like a welcome to the league. Yeah. You know, like you had your Kobe moment.
Exactly, because he's damn near. I don't think he's over 7 feet. He might be like 6'10".
He's a big dude.
He's a big guy.
He almost got as a Knicks fan. He almost got Frederick Weist, like Vince Carter jumped over Frederick Weist.
Vince Carter was so. Oh God, love Vince Carter too.
Yeah, but I mean, when you think about the games he played against the Knicks, like he was putting those games up against everybody. Yeah. You know, like his statistics are pretty crazy, and the amount of games he played. I know he suffered a lot of injuries down the stretch, but he went through that transition. So like he had the Shaq relationship, and they win the 3 titles. I believe like they made it to that title against the Pistons. They had Karl Malone and Gary Payton, and that was kind of the end of them. Like they. You play with, it's like, certain people that work in certain places, like, you work there for so long, and then, it's time to move on. And, Kobe wanted his team. He knew what he wanted. Yeah. And the next transition with him was with that next team with Pau Gasol and Artest and Odom. And he had his guys. Like, he still had good players, but, he didn't have a Shaq on the team.
And he just took himself to the next level.
And I think that was probably like a big regret for both of them. Like they couldn't put their egos aside at the time. Yeah. Because who knows?
How
many titles they could have won.
I mean, I personally like to think what happened if Shaq never left the Magic and if Penny never got hurt. But
hey, so guy can dream. Maybe we should do
what ifs.
Yeah, the what ifs episode.
That would be pretty cool.
So Kobe for me was just like an inspiring guy. Not only for like I remember before I would play basketball games. When YouTube first started, I'd go and be like Kobe Bryant highlights. I just watch him dunking. I just watch him dunking on guys, driving to the basket, and then I just go out there and just launch threes. Yeah, like I was just shooting threes. I wasn't going to the hole like Kobe Bryant. Did you play basketball? I didn't
actually. I was horribly uncoordinated. Because like I grew pretty much faster than my body could acclimate to, so it was not good for a while. Like until I got older, like because now I can play like defense, but I don't have the handles to really.
Man, I can't even move. I'm not even going on a court anymore. There's too much risk involved.
I feel you on that.
Kobe as an inspiration though, like for me, like I was saying, I watched the videos before I would play basketball, and like now as that he's gone, he does so many good interviews. If anyone ever has a chance, just type in Kobe Bryant interview, and just his demeanor and like his work ethic that he just describes is like it's inspiring, and like it can get me going for like 2 days, and then I fall back into like old
Yeah.
Sean where I just want to like sleep a little longer. But there's a story I believe where a reporter wanted to interview him, and he's like, all right, meet me in the morning, when I'm working out. And the guy's like, all right, well, let me know when you're going to work out. And Kobe texts the guy at like 3:30 in the morning. He was always the guy that was first in the gym.
It's nuts to get up
last
that
out of
early.
the gym.
But it paid off for him. I was going to say, one of the things that comes to mind for me, and this is more of a funny one, was I'm a big fan of the Sports Center commercials. And Kobe had one where I forget who he was talking to, but like someone runs into him at a bar or restaurant, and like they had a little bit of beef, and you could tell there's some tension. And Kobe just had great comedic timing with this, because the waiter's like, oh, what would you like to drink? And he's like, a martini. He's like, how many olives? And he just looks the guy dead in the eyes and goes, 81. And it's just like, if you get the chance, look it up. It's hysterical. Like Kobe just completely sells it, and it's so true to form. He just has that. I'll say it again, Mamba mentality, where you're like, he's like a snake. He's gonna get you.
Yeah, he's like, and if you look into his background, he's an interesting guy. His dad was a professional player. He grows up in Italy.
Yeah, I'll say one thing I would like to bring up, just very briefly, because he brought up his dad. I would be furious if my parents gave me a first name and a middle name that were both based on food. I didn't realize that until I was a little bit older. I'm like, Kobe, he's literally named after Kobe Beef, and then Bean was his dad's nickname. So I'm like, why? I would be like, why did you do this
Jelly
to
Bean
me?
Bryant.
Yeah. I'd be sitting there at like 16, like, why did you do that? I have to be one of the best basketball players of all time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe it gave him motivation. Like,
yeah,
kids were making fun of his name on the court, and
he just
had to put up.
Just wait, guys. Like, 20 years from now, you're going to hear a butterscotch pudding Ferreira. He's going to be the terror of, the football field. He's going to be on the gridiron. You're like, oh, there goes Butterscotch with another touchdown. Like, why would you do that to your kid?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gone that route yet. Maybe like, if I decide to have another kid, maybe like corned beef.
Yeah, just give him something that he's just got to push for it. All the times he gets beat up in school, he's going to go out there like.
Oh man, that's good. That's good stuff.
Butterscotch pudding, man. I'm telling you.
You know what? You heard it here first. That's going to be the name.
I'm going to feel so bad for whenever I have a kid if I choose to. Like, you poor bastard.
So Kobe retires, and then, everyone's like, everyone wants to know, what is Kobe Bryant going to do? And, he's equally successful outside of basketball as he was in basketball. The guy wins an Oscar for Best Animated Short Film. And basketball involved, it's great. It's super, it's good to show young kids to watch. And I've watched it a couple times, especially like, after he passed, you start looking back into his life.
And reflecting. I personally haven't seen it yet. Like, I'm slacking on things like that.
Hey, man, I'm going to send you some stuff after this.
Definitely do, man. Definitely do.
Opens the Mamba Academy. He had his daughter playing there. He has he's providing opportunities for kids, and I think it's more high level basketball, but he's there. And when Kobe Bryant's associated with something like the parents are paying up to send them. And he's coaching teams too. It's like he's coming full circle with his daughter. Just like his dad did with him. And he's giving that same, instruction, and she's following in his footsteps. Super involved with women's basketball. I think when he passed away, I saw even more women that were upset about his passing.
Yeah, because it's women's basketball. I'll be 100% honest, does not get any respect. It really doesn't. And for him to have 3 girls, I think that really, or I'm sorry, 4. Didn't he have 4? Yeah, he had 4 girls. I'm sorry. Really, I think kind of propelled him to give it a little bit more attention, really push it on that stage, so his daughters could have something to look up to. And it's definitely an honorable thing to do. Like he really took a step in the right direction and gave some women that really do appreciate that. Deserve that attention. Do
you view Kobe as number 8 or number 24? And when it happened, what was like? I know he went through a tumultuous time and had accusations against him at the time when he decided to like kind of rebrand.
Yeah.
Adidas dropped him at the time, I believe. He had that Adidas. Do you remember the Kobe one? The Kobe.
Yeah.
The Kobe 2 was like a snow boot.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know what they were thinking. Some of these old shoes. There's a list online, and it's like the ugliest shoes of all time. And I think it's the Kobe 2s are on there.
Yeah, I think I listened to another podcast called The Corp, and it's A-Rod and Big Cat from Barstool.
Gotcha.
And they interview Kobe, and Big Cat's a wise guy, and he calls him out on the shoe. And Kobe just pretends like it never happened. But
well, because I'm like, you have to be in the room when they bring that out. And you gotta be like, no. Like Steph Curry. When Steph Curry's shoe first came out, like, how was he not like, no? Like, I'm not worried. Like, you guys can make it look like anything and just stick a logo on it. Just make it look like something good.
Yeah, I mean, I was an avid basketball player, and I was like, Dad, can we get the Kobe shoes? And he's like,
you
nah,
sure?
You don't want to go to school in those.
Like, I'm a big Shaq fan, and not that they ever had the shoe in my size. I have massive feet, but like, I would not have
What size foot?
16.
Oh, you heard it first here, ladies.
I don't know if you can get that. Like, I'm actually rocking the LeBrons right now. I don't know if you guys can see those.
Did you have any Shaq apparel?
Yes, tons of Shaq stuff when I was a kid.
He was it was him like hanging on the rim. He came out with like his own line.
Oh yeah, no, he had the whole and it was like that. That's what I was gonna say. Is actually his shoe. As much as I love Shaq, always seemed very cheap to me. Like even as a kid, like it's just like you could get it at like I forget where it was, like Walmart or something. I was like I don't need the Shaq shoe. I was like I'll get the jersey.
That was like the Stephon Marbury stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Starberries.
Yeah, where it was like
big in China though.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a high quality shoe, but it was $15, and I'm like I'm sure it's decent. But something about that just doesn't sit right with me. Although I guess if it rips, just spend another $15. But
I get back to my original thing. We're going on a
little
sports
tangent there,
sports apparel talk. We can do that another episode.
Might be another topic,
number 8, number 24. The Lakers retired both of them.
What
were your memories? Do you think he should have changed the number at the time? I mean, now it's like it looks great that he has these two different identities and kind of shows his growth as a player and a person. What's your opinion on it?
Well, it's kind of funny because it's when you look at, if I was going to say who are the top 3 basketball players, in most people's mind in recent generations, you're going to say Michael Jordan, you're going to say LeBron James, you're going to say Kobe Bryant. I think one thing that they all have in common that's kind of funny that I didn't really think about until this was brought up, they all changed their numbers at one point or another. Whether it was just about a personal rebranding or just a new step. I think something like that really kind of helps to refresh your mentality, refresh your mindset. And it really does have a major impact on the way you play or do something. I think it's symbolic that, when LeBron went back to Cleveland, he was 23 again. Kobe, or I was going to say same with Jordan retiring, came back with the 45, where it's like, this isn't the same guy.
Did they sell those jerseys when he came back? I don't remember. But
Cleveland?
The 45 Michael Jordan jerseys. Like, if you have one of those.
Oh, Victor Cruz wore one for a while after he was coming back from his injury. I was like, yo, let's go.
Shout
like, he's making a statement. Yeah. Shout out to Victor Cruz in general. Like, yo, if you're out there, man, come join us, bro. I don't know what you're doing. Come join us.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, though. Like, it was weird. Like, I was such like, oh, Kobe's changed his number. Like, everyone had the 8.
And it was like, but like, it was honestly, I think, a good move. I think it was like I was saying before, one of those things where he didn't have to do it, but it helped him mentally. So I kind of got to go with 24 just because like it was him at that point. You know what I mean? He kind of knew who he was. It was like almost like him growing up.
Yeah.
So I'd say 24.
Agree.
I think is the more classic Kobe. I think of like that's the image I have in my head. But there's no replacing 8. Like the Lakers had to retire both.
Where do you think Kobe falls? I guess maybe. I mean, top Lakers even.
Top Lakers, he's got to be number 1. I mean, granted, there's a recency bias there. It's not like I was alive to watch Jerry West when he played, and he's the damn symbol of the league. Although Jerry was funny story about that. He was a major player in Kobe going to the Lakers.
Jerry West is known as one of the best front office guys in basketball.
It's so funny how that works, how a player just goes and be like, because there's a very big difference between the playing end and the business end of it. So it's rare to really see someone transition that well. Like John Lynch for football comes to mind, where it's like, how the hell did you turn this team around? You didn't even play for them. Like, how the hell did you just turn the 49ers around? But no, man, it's crazy the way it works out. Yeah, he is very, very talented.
Yeah, I mean, it's for the Lakers just alone. It's tough to. I mean, he's top 5, 100%.
Oh yeah.
As you get closer, it's tough because they had so many good players. It's just one of one of the best franchises in sports
hands
over
down.
the years.
Hands down.
And like I said in the last episode, sometimes it's just tough to rank when you're talking about different
eras,
different decades, different eras of basketball because the players are completely different. But I mean, as far as one of the greatest players of our generation, like I said, he was my Michael Jordan for the time. What about overall? People compared him to Jordan. I think he's more a comparison to Jordan than LeBron is to Jordan. The simple fact that they're similar size.
They're similar size, similar play styles.
Yeah, similar playing styles. They're more the scorers, where LeBron is kind of like that overall guy.
Yeah, LeBron's more the jack of all trades, which is why I personally have LeBron higher. But that's another thing. So does Batman. Shut up.
Yeah,
Although, funny enough, as I've said it before, I'll say again, if LeBron had gone to Ohio State, I would have completely hated him. Would have easily derailed all my fandom for him.
I mean, no, I agree. I would have been on that bandwagon with you. And I'm not the biggest LeBron fan, but I think I earned more respect for LeBron when Kobe passed away, to see how it touched him.
Yeah.
When he spoke about how close they were, that Kobe Bryant was dishing advice to all these young guys, and the reputation that he had coming through the league of being this guy that was the Black Mamba, a killer on the court, that he was always out to help people and do what was best for the league and basketball in general, try to move the game forward when he wasn't there.
And I think one thing to talk about with Kobe and LeBron is how Drake ruined that last shot of them when they were, playing up against you, and it could have been the best basketball shot of all time, and Drake was just an asshole and stood up and started clapping. Like, I was like, just sit down.
The Drake curse, man. It even affects pictures.
Oh, yeah, Drake.
It even affects pictures.
He cursed everything, though. But that, because I was like, dude, just sit down. Like, that would have been such a cool shot. Now he's just forever there.
Oh, man, Drake. What are you doing? I mean, just keep releasing music, man.
Seriously.
We love the music, but,
just keep crying in the shower, dropping new albums. Like,
stay out of the sports photos.
Yeah.
Like, the Raptors are cool. You can stick with them, but, you're ruining that great picture with Kobe.
Yeah, seriously.
Not cool at all.
He's lucky he didn't ruin the Raptors. You know what I mean? Rooting for them.
You brought up Jerry West, and he's the logo. Now, there was talk when it first happened that
they were talking about switching it to...
They would switch to Kobe, which, I mean, look, it's a forward-thinking thing.
Yeah.
Why not? And I think now, the NBA was a bunch of old white guys when it started. And I think, why not now? I mean, this is a perfect time.
It would make sense. It honestly really would. And Kobe sure as hell has enough, iconic poses. It's funny to me that it never changed to Jordan before. I always thought that. But then again, I guess since, the Jumpman's his personal logo, they couldn't really do that. Which honestly is more reason it really could be Kobe. Like his,
Yeah, I mean, we need an award. We need something.
Yeah, there's going to be something, I'm sure. The MVP award or the finals MVP, like something. They've got to come up with something they can do to transition to Kobe. Like,
yeah, I mean, I could go on about Kobe forever. Actually, when I was a little kid, I was such a big Kobe fan. My dad got me. I have an autographed number 8, Kobe, going through the lane with the ball. I also had posters on my wall. I had the jerseys. I never got the shoe. I was more of an Iverson Reeboks kind of guy.
Well, those were fire when they were out for a while.
They need to bring them back.
Iverson sold. Yeah, I'm surprised they haven't. You know what I mean? Like, he needs money. Although he does have... My understanding is he has some kind of deal where he had a lifetime contract with Reebok. So I think it's in a year or two, maybe later. If someone can look that up,
anytime they sell a shoe, he gets a cut.
Yeah, well, no, but then he's supposed to get $26 million a year or something like that. Don't quote me on that. He's supposed to get money after he hits a certain age for the rest of his life. So while he's broke right now, he's not going to be forever.
Yeah, you're right, Matt.
Thank you.
He's still receiving $800,000 a year.
Man.
Must be nice.
Better yet, the 11-time All-Star can collect another $32 million bonus from the athletic shoe company in 10 years. So he'll have a $32 million bonus in 2030.
Just I said not spend $800,000.
We're trying to pull that kind of money podcasting these days.
Yeah,
I think we have a chance.
Yeah, I want to have that AI money where
we can release a shoe for you, and maybe you can cut a deal with Mizuno, whoever makes it.
I used to run track.
Lifetime
I might have
contract.
had a Mizuno. Actually, no, I don't think I did. I think I only had Brooks and Asics. But still, Mizuno, I'm open. Call me.
Even if there's a generic brand that hasn't been released yet.
Yeah.
We need a sponsorship.
New Balance, anyone.
You can't see our feet in the video, or you can't hear them over the phone.
But we can start putting them in the podcast. We'll sit in recliners, put them right up. Because I want that Allen Iverson level of money where I can leave an airport, walk around, not find my car, and just buy a new one. That's an actual thing Allen Iverson did, and it's completely absurd to me that he couldn't just be a normal person and press a button. Look it up.
I don't know if that's a stat you can look up.
That's a real thing. Allen Iverson, car airport, Google it. It's got to be. It's got to come up.
Speaking of Allen Iverson, he was number 1 in that draft.
Which is crazy to think about because, like, on paper, you almost could still, I wouldn't say it would be a great argument, but you could still argue for the Sixers taking AI first overall. Like, AI was that good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, they had some battles, too, because they met in the finals the one time. And that was when Iverson was at his peak.
Oh, yeah, where he was just
the shoe was selling millions. Iverson was in the finals. That's almost prime time Kobe and Shaq.
Yep.
And, I mean, I'm pretty sure that the Lakers, I don't know what the final series was.
Yeah, I'm
but
not sure about that either.
When they played the Nets and they played the Sixers, they kind of just beat the shit out of both the teams.
Yeah, I mean, the East was very weak for a very long time.
Yeah, I remember the All-Star games where the East would just get smacked every year because you had Kobe, you had Shaq, you had Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
I mean,
the Spurs were another one of those teams that were just super quiet. You're like, oh yeah, fuck the Spurs. Like they would just get in there.
Yeah, I mean, they were a good arch nemesis. I remember the Kings and the Spurs during those Kobe Shaq years were just, they were always, that was like the conference final game.
Yeah.
The Kings had like Doug Christie and Mike Bibby, Chris Webber, and those guys were just, they were scrappy and they played hard and they beat the shit out of the Lakers, but the Lakers ended up taking the series for the most part. I mean, they had some great teams. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we can go longer if you want and talk about some more apparel. I don't know.
We can. I'm waiting to hear about this car story. I'm hoping we're getting that looked up.
Oh, it's true.
It is true.
It is true.
I knew it. Thank you.
I want to shout out to Cape May Brewing Company. They're the official sponsor of this episode. Have you had any of their beer?
I've heard good things. I have not actually had it though. I feel like I'm saying too often on this show that I haven't done things. I just gotta start
this one's crushing it. It's an Orange India Pale Ale, and they release like 6. They release a lot of different beers, but they're New Jersey brand. They're in all the stores up here. If you have the opportunity, go try one out. They have a lot of good stuff. I believe they have a cranberry beer this year. They have another citrus beer.
You know what? Wait, I heard about the cranberry beer. I did hear about it. You know, maybe I'll pick up a pack of that for the beach tomorrow. That might be a goal.
All right, I guess speaking of beer, we'll end it off kind of on this note. We talked about tailgating earlier. You mentioned wings and beer. What is your go-to tailgate food?
Ooh. Depends on the time of year. Obviously, I prefer to tailgate in fall because, like, once you get into winter, I've got gloves on. It's tough to do. There is a group I tailgate with for Giants games, and they, we throw in money and they provide a great spread. It's awesome. You get to sit down and eat it. But typical tailgate with friends, I'm honestly great with burgers and those. Damn, what the hell are those called? The sausages where it's like the like chicken and apple, or they have the like.
Like a brat,
brat. Thank you, God. I'm like, why am I just losing my mind here? Brats, brats over hot dogs and burgers. I'm all about something I can eat with one hand.
Maybe we'll do a tailgate food bracket to see what makes it to the finals.
Ooh, that's a good idea. But, I think we should do that.
I guess my tailgate food depends on where I'm at. Like wings are a go-to if you're at home.
Yeah.
If you don't want to be out in the parking lot eating wings.
No, it's a pain in the ass. You get stuff everywhere, and then you run into the same issue I was talking about. If you're in the white Color Rush jersey, you gotta
you don't
hold it away.
That.
Yeah, you're eating it all weird. Leaning over. You can't do that.
Are you a guy that you strictly drinking in the parking lot before a game, or are you gonna buy a beer at the stadium?
I'll buy a beer in the stadium because I get too drunk, and then I'm like, I want to keep the buzz going, and then like $36 left in the first quarter. I'm like, fuck, like I shouldn't have gotten.
And then you have to go to the bathroom like 5 times during the game.
And then I'm mad at everybody in front of me in the bathroom. So I'm like, why can't this guy figure out how to get out of my way? Yeah, it's a whole.
True story. Me and the Italian went to a Yankees game once, and we drank at stands before the game. And we also waited.
You have to. That's tradition going to a Yankees
We
game.
had to. We actually waited in line for garlic fries for 4 innings. I'm not even kidding.
Those damn wives.
We walked around the whole stadium, and we found one. And then later, like 2 years later, I went and sat in the same seats. I went down one level, and the garlic fries were right there.
That actually, something similar happened to me at a Yankees game. This is if the woman who this happened to is in this. I'm very sorry. I don't know who you are. But
this is the apology portion of the podcast.
Yeah, so we're sitting there, we're in the nosebleeds. It's me and like 5 of my friends, and I just smelled funnel cakes. I'm like, I've got to get this funnel cake. And my friend's like, yo, get me one too. I'm like, all right, I got you. I'll take his money. I go down and I do laps and laps and laps, and I cannot find this funnel cake. Similarly, I was gone for innings. Had to have been at least 2 innings. Finally, the guy's like, oh, we don't have funnel cakes, but there's elephant ears. I'm like, sold, don't care. Load them up with powdered sugar. Managed to get my way back up. I shuffle through all the people, and I finally get down, and I hand the one to my friend, and I sit down, and my buddy sitting next to me is like, you didn't get me one? Because I was gone for so long, and I start laughing, and all the powdered sugar in front of me flies up and goes onto the back of this lady's head. Which everyone I'm with sees, and we're all assholes, but we all started laughing even more, and then more powdered sugar is flying off, and it's like, there's still half the game left. I'm like, it's almost too late to tell her. Like, I don't know what I can do. Like,
this is like, we could title this the Funnel Cake Chronicles.
Yeah, the funnel. And so then, at one point, the guy sitting there, there's like it's a guy, a girl, and another guy. The guy leans behind this girl to say something to the other guy. I'm like, that's it. He's going to see it. I can't play it off as dandruff. It's going to be sticky. It's gross at this point. And somehow, miraculously, didn't say anything and leans back over. I'm like, guys, we got to go as soon as this game's over. Like, I can't be here for this. Like, I'm like sliding the evidence under my chair, making sure my hands are clean. I'm sure I had just like a
Did you have a white jersey on?
What?
At that point, the white jersey doesn't matter with the powdered sugar.
No, she had the. I wasn't wearing any Yankees gear, as I'm a Mets fan. She definitely had a blue shirt on. She 100% had a blue shirt on.
It would have been so much better if she turned around and you just had white powdered sugar.
I know, but like, I don't know what you're talking about. This is cocaine. I don't know what you mean.
Well, I just want to thank everyone for watching and listening. I'm Sean.
And I'm Matt.
We'll catch you next time.
And don't forget, you can find us on Instagram at Why Am I a Nerd Official, on Facebook and YouTube at Why Am I a Nerd, spell out Y, W-H-Y, on Twitter, 4th and 1, that's the number 4, T-H, and W-O-N. Please like, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. 5 stars would be greattly appreciated.
Greatly
and you can
appreciated.
hear more of our, chronicles and random misadventures at random sports games.
Have a good one.
Take it easy, everyone.